The Queen of the Santa Rosa First People, Queen Jennifer Caesar, passed away on Thursday, 19th of July. The Chief of the Santa Rosa First People, Ricardo Barrett Hernandez, is here to share with us as we reflect on the life she lived, her journey and her achievements, as well as her lasting legacy. Good morning and welcome. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, our condolences, first of all, to you.
Thank you.
What sort of loss is this?
A very great loss.
Yeah.
In that Mrs. Casa, our last queen, brought to the community qualities that I always refer to as needed for our time. The queens of the past, those who were before her, they operated at the level, you know, of course, in the time that they live. And certainly she fulfilled this role for our time in more ways than one.
How long did she serve?
Just on August 6th would have been 7 years. She was the shortest serving queen that we had.
Let's look at the impact that she would have had on the First Peoples community. How would you describe?
Well, she had a great impact in that she was loved by everyone. This is the first quality. She had a spontaneous way of letting people become attached to her. And I think that is a very important quality, because if people are not drawn to you, then it is difficult to relate and work with them. So she had that quality, number one. And then she was able to bring to the community her experiences. As you know, she joined the public service in, I think, 1971, and she served about 40 years as a public servant, going through many different ministries, the last being the judiciary. So she had a wealth of experience, and she was able to interact with people and so on. So that is another area that she had, another area of expertise that was able to bring the community to another level. She not only, was involved with the Santa Rosa community, she was a member of the regional carnival of the NCC, coordinator for the stick fighting competitions, and she was involved in a number of other organizations. So she was, all over the place, and so she would have, quite a lot of other organizations also feeling the loss that we feel.
How would you describe her as a leader?
A leader with very special qualities, in that she did not talk very much. She listened a lot, and when she did speak, she was able to bring the best answer or advice to a situation. So I think that was a quality that not find in everyone, and just by looking at her general disposition, will bring you calm and take you to the level that you want to be.
Would you say that she particularly had a passion for keeping the traditions and the customs of the First Peoples alive?
Definitely, definitely. She always encouraged the members, to practice the traditions that she knew, and that was a part of our community. So yes, I would say yes, she had that passion.
Yes. And for those, mourning her loss, what would you like to say to them?
Well, what can I say to them? For those who mourn our loss, we know that death is inevitable. We all have to go through that. No one never gets accustomed and cannot understand, but it is there that we have to go through. So we just have to remember her good times, remember what she wanted to see, her vision for the community, and to know that wherever she is, wherever her spirit might be, that she is always looking over us, and that she is there in a different space to continue to guide and inspire us. One of her visions was really to realize and see the start of our heritage village. We have started some development work there in terms of the infrastructure of roads and drainage and so on. So we will really want to pursue that, knowing that at least she was not able to see the start of construction as buildings, but at least she saw something being done, and we would like to continue that drive so that, even in her spirit, she can have peace.
Yeah. Have you thought of anyone who can possibly fill that role?
Well, I'm not seeing anyone who can fill the role that she filled. And we don't expect probably to get somebody exactly like her, but certainly we will, try our best, and we will take our time to make a good selection to come as close as possible to what she was able to do for the community.
Are you all planning to have any sort of week and that sort of
Yes, actually today, later this evening, we will have a week at the Carib Center. The family had their private week for the past 3 nights. And today, this evening at 7 p.m. at the Carib Center will be the week for the community, and we expect other members of the other organizations you were involved in to be a part of it. So we will have that today from 7 to about 12 midnight at the Carib Center.
Do you have any stories that you would like to share with us about the Queen, the former Queen?
Not really in terms of stories. It's just that, I can't remember any special story, but just her general disposition, as I said earlier, how she dealt with situations, I think is something that will remain with me and stick in my memory. She had a very calm way of dealing with different situations.
Right. And when we talk about finding someone else, as we mentioned earlier, not necessarily just to fill the role, because as you said, it will be difficult to do so, but in appointing leaders, especially that position, what is the process like?
The tradition has been that the reigning queen has the first option to name a successor.
Okay.
And she will do this based on her observation of the people in the community, looking at their ability in different ways, so that she has the first option. In the case of Miss Casa, she did not have the opportunity to do this because her reign was very short-lived, and she was in seemingly very good health up to the time of her death. So the next step would be that the community would meet after the 40-day mourning period and start the discussions. So that discussion will start as to who is a possible candidate, good candidate for this position. And about some time after, maybe a month or 2 months after, date will be set when the actual nominations and selection will take place.
Okay. What about funeral arrangements?
The funeral arrangements, the funeral will be on Friday, this Friday. The body will lie at the Arima Town Hall for 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. At 12 noon, we would leave in procession to the Catholic Church, the Santa Rosa Catholic Church, where the service will take place. After it will be to the Santa Rosa Cemetery. And that is the procedure for the funeral.
Yes.
On Friday.
Right. And let's talk a little bit about the vision and the mission of the Santa Rosa First Peoples as we move forward. What plans are in place as we move forward in terms of a long-term vision?
Well, the long-term vision is obviously what we have been lobbying for quite a long time, land and the heritage village. Because we see if you do not have a home and you do not have a place, it is difficult to maintain traditions and to preserve culture such as the one of the first peoples of this country. So we have been successful so far in obtaining a 25-acre plot of land by government, and we are seriously looking at developing that into a heritage space that can showcase and preserve different aspects of the tradition, so that you can have a space there for the spirituality, for the art and craft, for the performances, to show the culinary skills of the first peoples, how they process their foods, and some of the foods that remain with us over the years that we still use. So it will be an experience for the country, for our nationals, for our students especially, who continuously come to our space now to be educated on the ways of the first peoples. Then we would like to see in that space a museum where we can house the artifacts of not only our local indigenous, but the region as a whole, different artifacts of indigenous peoples. To do some agriculture, indigenous agriculture, such as the cassava, to restore aspects of the cocoa industry, coffee, the wildlife, farming we are looking at, and to have eco-tours in the mountains because we are at the base of a mountain, and generally to practice as much as possible the traditional ways of our first peoples. So that is our vision. If we can realize that, then we can be ensured that people will have something to identify with, something that will empower them, and something that will be added to our cultural mosaic that we are here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think it is just fitting that the first people's traditions and their culture, because they were first, be a part of the cultural space of Trinidad and Tobago, and more than just the cultural space, but be a part of the, the nation as a whole in many different ways.
Yeah. Now, you spoke about the school and students being educated. Do you suggest that somehow culture be incorporated into the syllabus to include traditions of the First Peoples?
Certainly, and we have been lobbying for that for years through, there was a cabinet-appointed committee that we served on for a number of years, and it is now, I understand, in the curriculum, in the school curriculum at different levels, and as a result of that, we are seeing the interest from the students because it is part of their studies.
Wonderful. Well, at this point in time, what are your closing comments? What would you like to say to those looking on and listening?
Well, we just want to thank the national community, especially those who have been calling and sharing, sending tributes on the Queen, because as I said, she not only was Queen of the Santa Rosa, but a cross-section of the community. So we appreciate the sentiments by those who have sent their condolences and so on to the community, and to ask the national community to continue to pray for us and to give support wherever they can, so that we can ensure that our First Peoples' heritage and culture is a major pillar in this country.
Wonderful. Mr. Bharat Hernandez, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us this morning.
Most welcome.
It's been a pleasure. All right, so we now take you to our local weather forecast.